James had a 70% VA PTSD rating for 6 years. He had nightmares most nights, couldn't hold a job for more than a few months, and had been to the ER twice for mental health crises. Every time he filed for a rating increase, the VA came back with the same answer, 70%. The VA PTSD rating criteria say 70% covers deficiencies in most areas of life. James had deficiencies in every area. I am Travis Studdard, a veterans disability attorney. The gap between 70 and 100% is about $2,100 a month. The VA uses specific patterns to keep veterans stuck. Here is what actually moves the needle in 2026. James's story is not unusual. I have had veterans come to me who've been stuck at 70% PTSD for years, some of them for over a decade. They know something is wrong. They know their condition is severe. They file for increases, go through C&P exams, and keep getting the same result. The VA says 70%, over and over and over. Today, I'm going to explain exactly what the VA rating criteria say at each level, why veterans get stuck at 70%, even when their condition clearly warrants more, what specific evidence moves a claim from 70 to 100, and how to document your daily life in a way the VA cannot ignore. Let me start with the actual rating criteria. VA PTSD ratings come in 5 levels: 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, and 100%. Each level has a regulatory description under 38 CFR Part 4. You need to understand these descriptions because the VA rater is comparing your evidence to these exact categories. At 10%, you have occupational and social impairment due to mild or transient symptoms that decrease work efficiency only during periods of significant stress. At 30%, you have occupational and social impairment with occasional decrease in work efficiency and intermittent periods of inability to perform occupational tasks, although generally functioning satisfactorily. At 50%, you have reduced reliability and productivity, occasional panic attacks, and impairment of short and long-term memory. At 70%, you have deficiencies in most areas such as work, school, family relations, judgment, thinking, or mood. The key language is most areas and deficiencies. At 100%, you have total occupational and social impairment with symptoms such as gross impairment in thought processes or communication, persistent delusions or hallucinations, persistent danger of hurting self or others, or inability to perform activities of daily living. Here's the problem. Most veterans with severe PTSD do not meet every single 100% criterion. The VA interprets the 100% criteria as requiring near complete functional breakdown, but the law does not require every symptom. What it requires is total occupational and social impairment as the overall picture. This is where veterans lose. The VA focuses on individual criterion checkboxes rather than the overall picture. If a veteran still drives, still leaves the house occasionally, and still maintains some family relationships, the VA will say they do not meet the 100% criteria. Even if they have not been able to hold a job for 3 years, have panic attacks multiple times a week, and require daily assistance from family members. The regulation uses the phrase "such as" before listing 100% symptoms. That phrase matters legally. Such as means the list is illustrative, not exhaustive. You do not need to match every symptom on the list. You need to show the overall level of impairment equals total occupational and social impairment. Courts have supported this interpretation. The VA does not always apply it correctly, and that is why so many veterans with genuinely severe PTSD end up stuck at 70% after a C&P exam that did not ask the right questions. The other thing the VA uses to keep veterans at 70% is the concept of partial occupational impairment. If you work part-time, even at reduced capacity, the VA may argue you do not have total occupational impairment. This is a contested area. Working part-time at a significantly reduced capacity in a sheltered or accommodated position generally does not disqualify a veteran from a 100% scheduler rating if the overall evidence shows severe impairment. But you need clear documentation and often a written opinion from your treating provider explaining why that limited work does not reflect full occupational capacity. Now, let me tell you what actually moves a claim from 70 to 100. Evidence Category 1, Employment Records. Total occupational impairment is a core 100% criterion. If you have not been able to maintain employment because of your PTSD, that needs to be in your file in black and white. We're talking about termination letters, HR documentation, medical leave records, statements from supervisors. If you have not been employed in over a year because of your symptoms, a statement from your treating provider saying PTSD renders you unable to maintain employment is powerful and often decisive. Evidence Category 2, Treating Provider Records. The VA gives significant weight to the opinion of a treating clinician who has seen you over time. A C&P examiner spends 1 hour with you. Your therapist or psychiatrist has seen you monthly for 3 years. Their opinion about the severity of your condition and its impact on your functioning carries more weight than a one-time exam. If your treating provider has never written a formal opinion about your level of impairment, ask them to. Specifically, ask them to address whether your PTSD causes total occupational and social impairment. Evidence Category 3, a personal statement documenting your daily life. The VA needs to see what your life actually looks like, not the managed version, the real version. Write it down or have a family member write a buddy statement. What does a typical week look like? How many nights did you have nightmares this month? How many times did you leave the house? Have you had any suicidal ideation and have you reported it? How many medications are you on? And what are the side effects? This kind of documented daily life picture is what closes the gap between 70 and 100. Be specific. Don't say, I have trouble sleeping. Say, I woke up 4 nights last week from nightmares about the same incident, and on 2 of those nights, I didn't go back to sleep at all. The more concrete detail, the harder it is for a rater to dismiss. Buddy statements from spouses, adult children, or close friends who witness your daily functioning are also powerful. They see what the examiner does not see. Evidence Category 4, Hospitalizations and Crisis Events. If you've been hospitalized for a psychiatric emergency, that is direct evidence of the severity of your condition. Emergency room visits, crisis line calls, psychiatric holds, involuntary commitments. These are all documented events that support a 100% claim. Make sure every one of them is in your VA file. Evidence Category 5, Medication history. Veterans with severe PTSD are often on multiple psychotropic medications, antidepressants, sleep aids, anti-anxiety medications, mood stabilizers. The number of medications you are on and the fact that symptoms persist despite treatment is evidence of severity. If you've been on maximum doses and still have significant impairment, that belongs in your evidence. Here's a practical note about TDIU. Total disability based on individual unemployability. If you can't get to 100% on the scheduler alone, TDIU may be available if your service-connected conditions prevent you from substantial gainful employment. TDIU pays at the 100% rate, which is approximately $3,939 per month at 2026 VA rates for a veteran with no dependents. TDIU pays at the 100% rate, but is not the same as a 100% scheduler rating. You need to show you cannot maintain substantially gainful employment because of your service-connected conditions. For a veteran at 70% PTSD who cannot work, TDIU can be the path to 100% pay even without a scheduler 100% rating. You need at least one condition rated at 60% or higher. Many veterans at 70% PTSD qualify for TDIU today and do not know it exists. James, the veteran from the beginning of this video, had been stuck at 70% for 6 years when we started working on his case. We submitted records from 3 years of psychiatric treatment, a detailed opinion from his treating psychiatrist documenting total social and occupational impairment, his own statement describing a specific 30-day period in his life, and documentation of 2 hospitalizations the VA had never seen. His rating was increased to 100%. His monthly compensation went from approximately $1,808 per month to approximately $3,939 per month at 2026 VA rates. The difference of about $2,100 per month. The VA did not volunteer that increase. The VA had been rating him at 70% for 6 years with the same evidence in the file. When the right evidence was submitted in the right way, the claim moved. If you were stuck at 70% and your condition is severe, the path to 100% exists. The VA is not going to lay it out for you. That is what this channel is for. If you're at 70% and your condition affects your ability to work, watch my video on TDIU. It explains how veterans get the 100% paid pay rate without a Schedular 100% rating, and it might be the fastest path forward for your situation. Link is on screen. If you want an attorney to review your case, visit winyourvetclaim.com. I'm Travis Studdard. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video.